Welcome back, traders. It is Tuesday, September 15th. It's Rod with Pow Group, and in today's video, we're going to discuss some bearish signals that just crossed on SPY and QQQ. More so on QQQ. There's also been a few other high-flying names that it's happened to. We'll take a look at Amazon. But before we jump into the content, please be sure to like the video if you like this content today, and subscribe to the channel if you like this perspective, and you'll be notified on any future updates. So again, in today's video, we're going to discuss a few things. I do have quite a few things I want to cover today, but I'm going to try and go as quick as I can. But we do have an important week ahead of us. So first on the list, we'll talk about news and events for the rest of the week. FOMC is tomorrow, so there will be a lot of eyes on the market. So we'll have to make sure that we're using stop losses, and we have a game plan going into that tomorrow. And Thursday, we have some important economic data with the job numbers, etc. Same thing every week. You guys know the deal. And then Friday is quadruple witching. So if you don't know what that is, just give it a quick search and you'll figure that, and you'll find that out. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into that in this video. We'll also touch on stimulus update and U.S. aluminum tariffs, which they decided to pull back, and the Apple event, and some M&A activity and why it's a growing concern. So let's take a look at the FOMC. So it's scheduled for today and tomorrow. Usually we get more of an official update on the second day, which will be tomorrow. So again, we'll have to keep in mind that anything can change. Things can change on a dime. Look how quickly the sentiment in the market shifted. So just brace for impact, and don't go sleeping on the Federal Reserve meeting tomorrow. It could be a catalyst to move the markets either up or down. Taking a look at the coronavirus stimulus update. So there was this bipartisan caucus unveils 1.3 trillion proposal, includes checks, extra unemployment benefits in attempt to break gridlock. So I won't go through the whole article. You can take a look at it, but you can see here the middle ground proposal from the group dubbed the Problem Solvers Caucus includes provisions like a second round of stimulus checks and an extension of employment benefits. So this goes on to say exactly what they're looking to do, so you can check that out on your own time. Also, as I mentioned before, the US dropped the duties on aluminum for Canada after they were just about to retaliate. So they had announced that within a couple of hours they were going to announce some retaliatory tariffs of their own. I think it was about $2 billion. But anyway, the rest is history. We don't have to worry about it because apparently that isn't a thing anymore. So taking a look at the Apple event from today, a lot of people were expecting a jump in the stock. We saw a ramp up and then a sell-off to the end of the day, which we'll dive into the individual stock analysis and the chart a little bit later in this video. But you can see here there was a bunch of new hardware and software announcements. Essentially, they didn't really announce that much. The iPads, some different colors. They had some updates to the watch. They're gonna have the iPad option at $399, one at $599. The watch was gonna come out with a blood oxygen sensor. But anyway, you can check out this detail in full to take a look at that. But I thought it was a little lackluster. I was expecting a little bit more. And they're expecting to release information about their phone later on in the coming months. And the last thing I want to touch on, news related, is the global M&A mergers and acquisition boom. So the difference between this boom in mergers and acquisitions is that the economy, since it is weak, that is what's driving these companies to seek deals. And that's not necessarily a good thing. I highlighted another article here, but essentially it says that the resurgence of mergers and acquisitions activity is a bad omen for the stock market. And I did some research as well, and there's some truth to what they're saying, but they say that they're referring to the blistering hot pace. So we saw that TikTok made a deal with Oracle, and apparently the Trump administration is probably going to approve that as early as today or tomorrow. We'll have to wait and get confirmation on that. We also had Nikola and GM partnership, but continuing with the article, after M&A activity ground to a virtual halt in the second quarter, came roaring back over the summer. According to Dealogic, total U.S. M&A activity in the third quarter of 2020 is already ahead of where it was in the entire first quarter of the year. Indeed, July's and August M&A deals marked the strongest start ever to the second half of the year. This is a warning because M&A activity tends to come in waves, and all past waves have ended badly for the stock market. Matthew Rhodes, an MIT Sloan finance professor, an expert, blah, 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 said in an interview that each of the last 6 great merger waves on record, going back more than 125 years, ended with a precipitous decline in equity prices, i.e. stocks. We're currently in the 7th of those great waves, which began about 6 years ago. So again, not trying to predict the future, but this is definitely concerning in my opinion. And taking a look at Goldman Sachs, according to them, there have been 3 moments of significant M&A downturns in the last 30 years, 1990, 2000, so start of the tech boom, and 2008, 2009. What's the common theme here? Every 10 years or so, 9 or 10 years. During each of these periods, M&A volumes declined by about 50% over a 2-year period, followed by another 3 to 6 years before volumes recovered to prior peaks. So we could potentially be setting a peak here, an M&A boom in 2020, and we could potentially be in for a serious downturn in M&A. And as we know, the waves generally don't end well for stocks. So that's a signal that I had that was bearish on the market, a fundamental signal, and we'll go into some more technical indicators later on fundamentals, or sorry, on technical bearish signals that we should use caution over. So taking a look at SPY on the daily, or sorry, on the monthly, you can see here I drew this uptrend line. So we did cross that line and we broke it there, and we are trying to save it here now, but we do have an upper wick forming, and we were well outside of the Bollinger Band. So we're starting to come back into reality. And you can see here that the RSI is still trending down. So we have a bit of an RSI bearish divergence. Taking a look at the weekly. So weekly, we're just looking for a weekly high or low on this move. We're still holding the EMA 12 support. And taking a look at the daily, I would have liked to see us close over EMA 12. You can see here EMA 12 has been acting as resistance ever since this drop. And we also had very low volume today compared to the rest of the days. So again, if this is going to be a bounce and the bulls are going to go up and set, you know, a lower high or higher high, we need to see that happen soon. And we're not seeing any bull volume. We're not seeing any bear volume, but the burden of the proof right now is on the bulls. And I would have liked to see us close over that EMA 12 support. It would have confirmed that we were strong. We're over it in after hours, but I would have liked to see it close during regular trading hours. So if we would have closed above that, I would have been a little bit more of a bullish lean, but it's still acting as resistance. We did find a little bit of basis support there off EMA 26. And we also have a uptrend line here. We'll use the real candle bodies for this uptrend line, which we'll check back on in just a moment, but we do have that on watch as well. So we'll be watching that pattern into tomorrow and the rest of the week. And we could be looking at a potential daily head and shoulders on SPY as well, with a neckline of a rate right about here around the 322 area. And if you took the measured move of the head and shoulders, that would bring us down to about the 310 level. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, 319 actually. So that lines up well. We had a bear flag here as well that lined up with the 319. So if we take a look at the drop here, that looks about right. So do that draw out of the bear flag. We didn't quite see that happen, but we could be potentially setting a head and shoulders, which would still bring us down to the 319 level. So there's a lot of confluence there on the 319 level. So we'll keep an eye on that into tomorrow and the rest of the week. And we did have some short-term indicators this morning that was kind of giving us some early heads up as to what to expect for the rest of the day. So at the beginning of the day, you could see that we had this bearish RSI, 5-minute RSI downtrend. So we had a bearish divergence on the 5-minute. You can see that we were trending down on the RSI. We were trending up in the price. and generally that doesn't end well. So you can see here we came back up. We were essentially forming an ascending triangle, and those tend to break to the upside, but in this instance, that's not what happened. We ended up losing support and we flushed. And I don't know if you guys have been following this pattern, but slow grind up, flush down. And we saw quite a bit of a bounce there toward the end of the day. Definitely a 5-minute oversold bounce, but still in a 5-minute downtrend to end the day. So could potentially be setting up for a 5-minute inverse head and shoulders. We'll have to wait and see. But RSI div, the ascending triangle, definitely was the signal today, the bearish RSI div. And like I said, we weren't able to get over resistance. We weren't able to break the high of the day. And once I saw that we were starting to break down out of that ascending triangle, that's when I knew that it was probably going to end badly for the rest of the day. And like I said, Apple didn't really have much on their agenda that really sparked any investor enthusiasm. Taking a look at QQQ. So QQQ, there was a top fish today at the high of day. So you could have potentially top fished the 280.23. We hit 280.44 and pulled back. So if you would have entered there on that top, double top, you could have potentially set your stop above that. Once we close that candle with an upper wick, you could have set your stop above that and top fish QQQ, and you would have been heavily rewarded into the end of the day. And another reason why you would have felt comfortable doing so is because we also had some bearish RSI divergence on QQQ to start the morning. See here, the price was trending up, not the greatest line, but you get the idea. And QQQ also on the daily, it closed below EMA 12, which has been acting as resistance. So I would have liked to see some confidence in those bulls if they would have closed over that. But that's been acting as resistance for the past 6 days or so. And taking a look at the volume, you can see here we're increasing a little bit on the volume, but one thing I want to bring up as well, while I think of it, is the MACD and the stochastic on the weekly. You can see that SPY held this 10-week moving average, and it crossed on the stochastic already, and we're still holding on this signal, but that's a very bearish signal, and we're crossing on the MACD. If we don't hold 334 or 330 by the end of this week, that's going to be extremely, extremely bearish. And SPY is still holding the 50, but take a look at QQQ. QQQ on the weekly, the MACD has crossed bearish, and that's the first time that's happened since March. That's a huge bearish signal, and the stochastic's already trending down on the weekly. We closed below the 10-week moving average. We're back above, but we're still flirting with some downward pressure, and this could potentially be a lower high here on the daily. We'll have to keep an eye on this, like I said, into tomorrow, but definitely concerning on those. And I wanted to bring up Amazon as well, but because it's one of the high flyers. But you can see here last week, again, we closed below, cross, bear cross, bear cross. Certainly a little concerning. Taking a look at Apple. See here, looking to bear cross, held the 10-week moving average. Let's take a look at Tesla on the weekly. Still hasn't crossed on the MACD, held the 10-week moving average. So certainly not the end of the world yet, but the fact that QQQ has a MACD cross on the weekly, which is the first time that it's happened since March. I would definitely, so taking a look at NKLA, you can see here that we're trending down, bearish, bearish, bearish. So could play off of 29 support if we, which we did get there. So you can see we had a low of 28.75 today. So you could have played off of that again, and could have been a nice day trade. So next on the list, I want to bring up UNG. So I was talking to a few people today about UNG, and there was a nice play off of support this morning. So you can see here that we had support at 1206, and you could have entered off of that support. We also have support at 1188, and I wanted to bring up UNG on here as well, because we also have support on the 100-day and the 50-day moving average. So it could be a nice play off of that with a stop below, say, 1170, and very low risk, risking you know, maybe 50 cents or 40 cents if you entered this morning to make a potential $3 to $5 plus. So keeping an eye on UNG for the rest of the week as well. Could this potentially be a daily bear flag as well? We could also see these EMAs cross, exponential moving averages cross bearish. So could still potentially be a daily bear flag. We could test 1188. I probably would hold off. I haven't entered yet, but I would like to enter on a daily higher low and then step my stop under the previous low, or this one here at 1188. Maybe you want to maybe have a little bit more risk. You use the stop under the 50 and the 100-day moving average, so 1160 or 1170, and then you hope you load up on a higher low and look for a daily trend change potentially, and then that way you're not getting trapped into a daily bear flag as well. And we could potentially be setting up for a weekly inverse head and shoulders. See here, this would be the neckline, somewhere right around there. And we could potentially be setting up for a break sometime in the next few weeks, months. So keeping an eye on UNG, definitely not sleeping on natural gas. What's next that I wanted to bring up for you folks? So we have some other indices as well. I'm not going to go through, I was going to go through all of the indices. I'll just go through the important ones, or the ones that I wanted to talk about, just because this video is getting a little bit long. But I did want to bring up DXY. So the dollar index, you can see here that the RSI on the daily, let's get rid of that line there. So you can see there is a bullish RSI divergence on the daily. So if we draw this support line here on the RSI, we could potentially, we almost tested that support line, but we could potentially test it. We're looking to change the daily trend here. So we're looking to form a higher low and higher high and change that daily downtrend. Right now we broke the high, but so we're essentially trading flat, but we need to confirm that uptrend with a higher low and higher high, and a break of 93.66 would give us that higher high and a confirmed uptrend. But we want to see follow through as well. But you can see here the price was trending down and the RSI was trending up. So we had bull RSI divergence, which is an opposite from the bear example that I used on SPY and QQQ earlier. So that also gave me confidence that we could probably expect some downside in stocks and in the broader market. You can see here we're holding EMA 12 as support, and we haven't really, this is the first time we crossed above EMA 26 in a very, very, very long time. So this could potentially just be a basis support forming before we see, like I said, a potential inverse head and shoulders as well. So taking a look here on the daily chart, we could be potentially setting up for another inverse head and shoulders. So seeing these patterns a lot lately, definitely keeping an eye on it. And we'll check back tomorrow on the dollar and see how it's doing. And this could also be, I wanted to highlight an hourly bull flag. So you can see here we held the EMAs. We don't want to see a retracement of any more than 33%. So drawing the fib retracement, just to give you guys a visual representation. So you don't want to dip below the 382 level, which we're holding. And as you can see, we draw that bull flag like so. The low of consolidation, diagonal looks like a flag with the pull. And there's our target here of previous resistance, which could be at the 93.38 level. So we'll have to see if we get there on that hourly bull flag into the future session tonight and into tomorrow. Next on the list, I wanted to bring up Apple, see if there's any other indices that I wanted to bring up. Yeah, I did want to bring up XBI on the daily. So you can see we had a gap up and the EMAs are looking to cross bullish the first time in quite a while. So we'll keep an eye on that. We did get close to the top of the Bollinger Bands on the daily. We didn't end the day very strong though, but we are in a hourly uptrend to end the day, and we'll look to find support on EMA 12. Taking a look at the end of the day though, we did finish the day with a 5-minute downtrend, and I did want to bring up a couple of other sectors here as well, just to show you, to give you a better picture. So XBI closed above today on the 10-week, but you can see here that we were trending down. Those are some more bearish signals for stocks. Taking a look at XLV on the weekly, same thing. Last week closed with 3 very, very bearish signals. Taking a look at XLF, again, I'm not gonna go through everything just for the sake of time in this video, but you're starting to get the idea that we could be potentially seeing clues that this could happen in SPY as well. And in order to get that MACD crossing, we'd have to see some heavy volume, sell volume, and drop in the price. But as you can see on XBI, and at the end of the day, we had a lot of sell volume. XLV closed the day weak as well with a 5-minute downtrend. XLF, 5-minute downtrend, closed weak, lots of sell volume. So again, not a very, very strong close, and a lot of people likely profit taking going into the FOMC announcements tomorrow. So we have our news and events completed, our indices overview. I actually forgot US oil. I will bring up US oil. We had some news that there was going to be another storm coming, so a potential shortage there. So we saw a boost in oil. Oil did form a daily higher low and higher high. So we are technically in a daily uptrend, but we didn't get much follow through. So taking a look at the weekly, this could potentially be a weekly bear flag. We'll have to wait and see. Generally, when we get a trend change with no follow through, we'll look out and we'll zoom out and look for a flag. So not really seeing that right now, but could potentially find resistance here at the 36 level. Sorry, the 38.97 level. And we also have EMA 26 to test at 40.11. So probably not going to get there in my opinion. I don't like oil right now. It's just, with everything that's going on, I wouldn't be comfortable trading it. And ever since we broke out of that daily rising wedge, it's been all blood since. So we are getting the daily bounce underway. We'll see how long the bulls can keep that up. Taking a look at Apple, I did want to highlight Apple into the end of the day. So Apple had a hourly downtrend. You can see we closed well below the EMA 12 and 26, so still acting. We poked above both of them, but we ultimately closed. So again, another bearish signal. I'm definitely leaning bear into tomorrow, and the technicals, the charts are saying so as well. Taking a look at the hourly, we had an hourly lower high and lower low, so an hourly downtrend into the end of the day. We saw some heavy selling after the event took place. So maybe investors weren't really sold on what they heard, who knows, but we did form a 5-minute higher low and higher high into the end of the day. So not completely hopeless yet for the bulls. And we have a weekly inside bar on our hands. So we'll want to keep an eye on the 120 and the 110 level, break those, and that'll give us direction on what we can expect going into the end of the week. Taking a look at Tesla. So Tesla saw some sell volume into the end of the day as well. Ended the day with a 5-minute downtrend, looking to bounce instead of 5-minute higher low here. But just like the rest of the market and most stocks, it wasn't spared into the end of the day. Saw a lot of profit taking from such a huge move up the entire day. And yeah, we just likely nothing, just healthy in my opinion, likely just people taking profit before the FOMC meeting tomorrow, not a big deal. NKLA, so we heard that there was potentially the SEC looking into them because of fraud allegations. Close at 32.83, and we're sitting at 30.75 after hours. So not looking too good for the NKLA bulls. If you're bearish, congratulations. Personally, I'm in conservative mode and I'm not looking to trade names that, like, this is insane. The GM partnership goes up 60%, short report comes out, goes down 45%. And then a bounce of about 20%. So absolutely day trade, swing. I wouldn't swing this. I day traded only quick flips in and out because of the volatility. It's definitely a hyped up name at the moment. And with the electric car craze being all the talk at the moment, it's definitely a theme play. And the last one, Oracle. So just taking a look at ORCL on the daily. You can see here, a little bit of an indecision candle still outside of the monthly or the daily Bollinger Bands, so I'd be a little cautious on there. Also outside of the monthly, yeah, I wouldn't be long this thing at all here. Outside on the weekly, we are looking for a daily higher low. We lost the uptrend. We're sort of just chopping around here at the moment, and rumor has it that they're probably going to get their deal sealed with TikTok. Trump administration is supposed to be approving that deal. That's what I heard anyway. Maybe today, as early as today, maybe tomorrow. And so yeah, taking a look at the end of the day on Oracle, we had a 5-minute downtrend here. And we were looking to change to form a 5-minute uptrend, couldn't form a 5-minute higher low. So we'll look to hold the low of 60.80 going into tomorrow. And we saw that there was quite a bit of sell volume there into the end of the day. But again, nothing too alarming, likely just profit taking going into the FOMC meeting tomorrow. So in summary, as I said, FOMC meets tomorrow. So that's a super important event for us to be watching. SPY, it's still potentially a dead cat bounce. So we haven't formed a higher low and higher high. This could potentially be, we're seeing signals, low volume. We could be topping out here. We close below EMA. We're starting to see major sectors starting to trend bearish. QQQ, MACD crossed bearish for the first time in months since the COVID dump in March. So definitely remaining cautious, and just I swung some position. I bought Hexo and Canopy, which were really affected by the market today, which was nice to see. If you watch any of my previous videos, I've been accumulating a long position in those, as I think that if Biden wins, we could potentially see a hype in MJ. And if Biden wins, we might likely see a long-term downtrend in SPY and the broader market and stocks in general. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. So that's the theme play that I'm chasing. And I have a little bit of cash, and I'm hedging some of that with, I have cash and I'm hedging a little bit of SPXS and SQQQ for my longs with Hexo and Canopy. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow. And like I said, still have some cash. So I'm cool with whatever direction we go tomorrow. But leave me if you want to comment in the comments below anything that you want. If you want to leave me with any tickers or anything that you want analyzed, or just my general opinion on, please leave them in the comments below. And be sure to like the video if you like this video today, and consider subscribing to the channel. Tick the little bell, you'll be notified on my future updates. I do market updates every day, and we will talk to you guys very soon. Have yourself a great night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow for another daily market recap.